Thank you for joining our latest webinar from Chapman Robinson & Moore Accountants in Kidlington near Oxford. This webinar is entitled 7 Key Steps to Growing Your Business. We will start in just a couple of moments. We've just got a last few people just coming in to join us by the look of things, and we'll be ready to start in a couple of moments, so just please bear with me. Okay, so it looks like majority of people are with us now. You can see on the right hand side that there is a chat box. In that chat box you'll be able to add any questions as you go through this webinar. We're likely to take all the questions at the end, but if there is a relevant question specific to a section we're in, then we may stop and address that question at that time. So please feel free to add your questions as we go. So thank you again for joining us for this webinar. We hope that there's something useful in all our webinars for you to take away and help you to develop and grow your business. And as I say, today we're going to look at 7 key steps to growing your business. We are going to look at 7 systemized steps that we hope you can implement into your business and create as a habit in your business without having to think, well, today is my marketing day, today I'm off to a sales meeting, how can I make the best this sales meeting, or how am I going to increase the lifetime value of my customer, or how am I going to retain them for longer. So it's about creating habits around the number of leads you make, the conversion rate you have, how many sales you make at that initial meeting, how you can improve the value of your sales, including increasing your prices, how you can improve your cost management and therefore your margin, how you can encourage your customers to buy more often from you, and ultimately retain them longer and increase their lifetime with you. Now, this is a really simple exercise, and you could do this with your own numbers, because once you see your own numbers, you can see the growth potential for your business. But you can see here we've mapped out the 7 different areas, given them a value, and increased each one by 10% improvement. Now, if I was to say, could you increase your bottom line by a larger number, because small improvements make a big difference, i.e. 59% in this case, this example, then you might find 59% growth difficult. However, if you just say, okay, 10% in each one, that's much more achievable as per this demonstration shows. So, add your own numbers, see what your own increase may be in those 7 different areas. The other aspect is to make sure that you're planning to manage the growth of your business. Now, we've seen a number of businesses, they've gone and they've focused purely on just increasing the number of sales in their business, increasing their turnover, and the infrastructure has not been in place for the business to be able to therefore manage that growth, and in some cases that's impacted on that business, and in one particular case I'm thinking of right now, the business has actually failed. So do you need more staff? If so, have you got a recruitment process, or are you going to outsource that? Are you going to need different premises? How will you keep control of the quality as you grow? What about relationship management with your customers? It may be currently the business owner or the key people within the business, but as you grow you may need more people to help you manage that relationship. Have you forecasted your working capital and cash flow requirements going forward as you grow? Is it going to have an impact on that cash in your business? And what about the core businesses? Are you going to keep focused on your core business with a small piece of growth in another area, or are you totally diversifying? And then what's the pros and cons of both of those areas? So let's start with step number 1, which is increasing the number of leads with effective marketing. And the first thing really to think about is your strategy, and this includes also knowing who your ideal customer is. Now, we're not saying decline other customers that may come and approach you, but it enables you to think carefully about the best suit customers to your business, and that may be, for example, you might not be trying to attract price takers. So if you don't want a price taker, what does your ideal customer look like? And if you know what your ideal customer looks like, then you can be much more targeted with your marketing, and your words or your copy on your website are much more relevant to attract that ideal customer. How can you pull that customer towards you, and how will they lean towards you with interest? And again, once you know your ideal customer, how are you then going to choose the right tactics to attract them? So as an example, could it be online marketing or offline marketing? And if your ideal customer isn't an online web user or email user or mobile user, then obviously you choose the appropriate tactics to where they may be located. So again, if they're reading your local parish magazines, is that place to advertise, for example? So really with your marketing, it's about how can you be more proactive, but importantly, how can you test and measure so that you know what works, why it works, and what you can repeat. Too many businesses with their marketing think, well, okay, it's a good idea to do some direct mail. So they do 1,000 letters out to everybody and then see what results they get. Consider testing smaller, 100 letters of one type, 100 letters of type 2. Send those 2 letters out. Which one's more successful? Do you know why it's more successful? Is it the words you used? Was it an insert that you put with the direct mail? And once you know that, then you can roll that out to either a further group of the 800 that's remaining, or if you're confident, fully to the remaining 800. That's just an example of test and measuring your marketing. The second area is, once you've done all that hard work with your marketing, is making sure that you convert your marketing to sales much more effectively. So first point is to know what is actually your true conversion rate, because you can't improve something you don't know. And many customers that we've spoken to in the past say, yes, pretty high, but when we explore that bit further, then it's perhaps not as high as they thought it was. Once you know what it is, you can then target. What do you want your conversion rate to be? And 100% may not be realistic. Also, it's about knowing what your unique selling point is, but more importantly, what that unique selling point is to the buyer, what it means to the buyer, what's in it for them, what's important to them in terms of buying your product or service. We also encourage our customers to think about the influencers. Now, you may be lucky enough in terms of that you're speaking to the decision maker, but that decision maker still may need to take views of others before they make that purchase. So as an example, it may be their husband, wife, business partner, for example. It could be their accountant, it could be even their existing provider, business advisor, or it may even be that trusted employee that's worked for them for 40 odd years and is a bit like their right arm. So who do you need to ensure that you're aware of and helping them to influence? As we say, test different approaches, but this also includes what you say, what you wear, what time you have your meetings. Are you best in the mornings, best in the afternoons? What you hand out? Is there an offer that you make? Again, you're testing different approaches, seeing what works for you and your business, your product or your service. Review why you're not converting. Now, this may be that you're receiving feedback from those that you're not converting, but also it may be that you're being honest with yourself. And once you know why you're not converting, then again, obviously you can make small improvements towards making a better conversion in the future. And we've talked about ideal customer, but again, once you know your ideal customer and the market that we're in, you can demonstrate by knowing your market and showing that awareness that you have for the market and in the influence that your product or service can have. Can you remove the risk of your purchaser? For example, by giving a guarantee. If you can remove the risk, it's an easier decision for your purchaser to make. And one technique that is often spoken about is listening and matching. Can you listen to what your prospect is talking about? What's their pain of not using your service? What's the gain of using your service? And then matching the benefits of your product or your service so that it actually matches that pain or gain. The third area is making sure that your customers buy more from you at that initial buying stage and that initial buying meeting, particularly when they're in buying mode. All too often, people sell their one product or one service and forget to communicate the rest of their offering. So are your prospects aware of all you're offering? Could you use a credibility pack that explains what it is you do, the pain and gain that you solve with your solutions, and why you do it so well, using testimonials and case studies as an example? Can you package or link your product? So by packaging, you may take 2 services that you offer. So for example, in our business, it may be that we offer bookkeeping and a payroll service, and we offer that as one service rather than independently choosing to buy one or the other. Or it may be that you link to an external offering. So for example, again, we offer an auto-enrollment registration service, but we will link with an external financial advisor who can advise on the right pension for you or your staff. Now, one of the obvious ways to increase the value of your sales is to increase your prices, and that may be relevant to your pricing strategy in terms of whether you're going to raise your prices every year or is it every 5 years, etc. And are you going to be raising your prices to perhaps a fixed fee in the future, or are you going to retain it on a per project or a per hour basis? So how could you increase your prices right now? Could your market, could your customers face a price increase from you? Now, it's important if you're going to increase your prices that you know what it is that you're likely to use, and you are likely to lose those that don't value you, and you're likely to retain those that do value you. So that in its own exercise can be healthy. But it's also important, whilst you're trying to increase your turnover, that you're aware about how much you could afford to lose. And here's a small example. So 10% of your you want to increase your prices by 10%. You've got 250 customers, each of a value of average £2,000. So you're looking to increase your turnover from £500,000 to £550,000. So this tells us that we can actually lose 22 customers and still increase our turnover, and therefore also benefiting from other areas, therefore, which will see a profit increase even further. So less travel, less cost of sales, less staffing and resourcing, but also giving you and your business more time back to do other things. If you can't increase your prices directly, then you may be thinking about repositioning your service to review the price. You may have a product or a service in your business that just over time has just been more attractive to a price taker because it's price specific. Can you reposition your service to now be a premium product or premium service and therefore attract a different market? It may be exactly the same product or service, it's just about repositioning that. This enables you sometimes to use menu pricing in terms of upselling, and this is where car dealerships we see very well use the menu system, bronze, silver, gold as an example. But if you're buying a car, you might have the basic model, the standard model, and the premium model. And again, you'll see that somebody's always got to have the top premium model. Not everybody wants the basic, but some will sometimes have to take that or feel that that's sufficient enough. But your core offering would be, generally speaking, that middle offering, the silver offering. Can you package your offering with a higher value? So again, how you're packaging or positioning your business. And I use the water, lettuce, shares example. So for water, if I sell water from a tap, it's not got a great value. If I filter it, put it in a plastic bottle, it's more likely to be able to attract a higher price. If I buy a lettuce from the market with mud still from where it's been dug, I'm going to pay a price. If I go to the supermarket where it's already been washed, prepared, ready to lay out onto a plate, I'm going to pay a different price. When I did my economics, I understood that if I brought a share from that broker or that broker, the share price was exactly the same. However, Disney football clubs have proven that you can buy one share in their offering as a birthday present and it's worth a lot more than the share price. It's just about packaging and processing that. Now, some of your customers may not be able to afford your increased prices or perceive that they can afford your increased prices. So can you offer a payment option or a payment plan, direct debit credit facilities, for example, that can make that affordable to them? And again, by focusing on your ideal customer, you can build a proposition of value that your ideal customer values. Now, I'm sure all of you are doing this at some point in your business in terms of managing the costs and increasing the margin where possible. So very briefly, are you looking at the resource in your job? Who's doing the job? Do you need to visit the customer so often, for example? Can you cut any related costs in your business? That may be fixed costs in terms of things that are fixed for the year normally, in terms of your rent, wages, perhaps your professional fees. Your variable costs, so a big one that's been saved by a lot of businesses is postage, because many people are using PDFs now to send out an email with the invoice attached or their credit control chasing letter, etc. And one particularly that's often overlooked is the hidden costs, and particularly the hidden cost of people. So are you doing a time review to make sure that your business is as efficient as possible to gain time back and therefore investment in other areas and maximise your margins? So the other area of sales and service is to encourage your customers to buy more often, and this is related to ongoing sales and ongoing exceptional service. Now, you could add some easy to purchase options that add value to your customers. So this, in our case, could be software upgrades, our tax investigation protection service, and some of our events. But quite often it's about selling more to your customer base, and often that's about reminding yourself and monitoring where you are. And a very simple way of doing this is your customer's name down the left hand side, your products and services across the top, and very visually you can see what your customers have brought from you or have not brought from you. You could also do this on a traffic light system. So green is what they've brought, and amber is what they're considering, and red is what they've declined. Again, very visual. So for example, if I was going out to see A, B, C and Co today, I know that they've got bookkeeping, management accounts and some insurance with us, but I could talk about our payroll credit control service or see if they need a Sage upgrade. So are we asking as often as we should? And I encourage you to ask more often. We may be able to do quarterly reviews with our customers to establish what their latest wants or needs are. And are we reminding them what we do? So again, you may have reminded them at that initial time that they purchased, but are you continually reminding them about the additional services or products that you offer? That could be through newsletters, through offers, for example. If your business is very reliant on referral business for its new business, then you may wish to have regular meetings with the third party that make referrals to you, because it's maybe something that they know that can help you with additional cross-selling of products and services. It may be something that they know about that customer that you don't know, for example. And at all times look to exceed the expectations of your customers by involving them much more and in effect sharing the expertise that you have with your customers, because the greater engagement, the greater involvement, you're more likely to sell more often to your customers. And as you develop the business and grow the business, it may be that it's less reliant on you or your key people in the business to upsell, cross-sell, service your customers. So can you train and develop your team to take part of that responsibility with them and on your behalf? And the seventh area, and the final of the seven that we're going to talk about today, is increasing that lifetime of your customer with you, retaining your customers for longer. Now, first of all, it's understanding what your retention policy and goals are. Now, do you want to retain everybody for a year, or do you want to retain them for 10 years, for example? What's your goal objective after you've retained them for that period? Importantly, are you communicating, listening, collecting feedback from your customers so you're ahead of any issues that may progress in the future? Are you clear about what your clients' wants, needs and demands are at different stages of their lifetime with you? So when they're a new customer with you, that may be different to what they need from you in a year, 5 or 10 years time. Are you not over-promising in your sales meetings? Because if you over-promise, it's very difficult to deliver a greater value than that promise. And one thing that I've seen in a number of industries, some of which I've worked in before, whether that's banking account numbers or member numbers, is that the personality has been lost. So how can you keep your business personal? Make sure that you're retaining the personality rather than just an account or reference number. Can you obtain testimonials from happy customers? Because once they've given you a testimonial today, they're unlikely to leave you tomorrow. If they're unlikely to give you a testimonial today, it may need something unraveling to establish if there's a current issue why they wouldn't do that for you. And at the end of the day, you will retain good customers simply by just doing a good job. So as I said earlier, this is really about systemizing those 7 steps, how you can systemize the 7 steps so they become great habits in your business, so that again these things just happen without you having to think about them in any particular way or order. So for example, your marketing would just happen when you get a sales meeting. You've got a process that works. You've got a way of raising awareness of all the products and services you offer so they buy as much as they can from you at that appropriate time. When you come to your pricing model, you're maximizing the value you can get from your business and from what your prospects are buying. Throughout the first year or X years of that retention of your business, because you're retaining them for longer with your retention policies and procedures, you're looking at ways that you can sell more or service your customers more so that they buy more from you in the future. These 7 steps, all integrated together, can make a big difference in the growth of your business. Now, you may be aware that we offer a business improvement program, and of course if you're interested in finding out more, then please let us know. We've also got starting soon our business improvement program workshop, which is a workshop run over 6 months. Each of those months we have a monthly workshop, half-day workshop at a local hotel, followed by a networking lunch. There's no conflicting businesses, and the idea is that we will look at all the key areas in running your business in terms of your planning, your valuation, your marketing, your team, and we'll look at different ways that you can look to develop your business with other like-minded business owners. As well as the 6 monthly workshops, we also have interim phone calls between each one to help you personalize the content even further and ensure that you're implementing those into your business to make a difference. And again, if you'd like to know a bit more about those workshops, please don't hesitate to contact us. So at this point, I'm just going to jump over to the chat messages to see if there's any questions. I haven't seen any questions come in, so at this point I'll just thank you for attending. As I say, if there's any further information you'd like to know about our improvement program, then please don't hesitate to contact myself, Mike Foster, or one of my colleagues, and we'd be delighted to chat that through with you. Other than that, thank you for attending today's webinar. Please keep an eye on our website in terms of our seminar and webinar page to see our forthcoming events. We'll hope to see you at an event again soon. Thanks very much.